Welcome back to the Geekcentric podcast, and welcome back to our watch club for The Bad Batch Season 2. When have we ever followed orders? Welcome back to Watch Club. My name is CT0831, but you can call me Hugs. And I need some hugs after these episodes, let me tell you. This is our Watch Club finale episode for Star Wars The Bad Batch Season 2, Episodes 15, titled The Summit, and Episode 16, titled Plan 99. If you're joining us for the first time, this is Watch Club, our weekly review series, kind of like a book club, but way better. Keep in mind, we will be going into full spoilers for this series and Star Wars in general, so if you haven't watched this week's episode yet, be sure to do so. And then come right back in less than 12 parsecs. Now, before we lose a sibling or discover a new one, let me introduce you to our experimental crew of ragtag troopers. First up, he's taller than a Jawa, smaller than Jabba, and just as entertaining as Jar Jar, he's CT1231, also known as Edit.
Snip, snip, bro. What's going on?
Snip, snip. We're not at Snips yet. That's going to be the next Watch Club, I think, maybe. Who knows? Well, maybe not the next one, but the next Star Wars Watch Club, at least. And listen, dropping in high from the sky, which actually that's unfortunate for anyways, we have the dopest dankest dude on Dagobah, CT1006, but you can call him Joints.
I can't, it's not working right now. I can't be called Joints if I'm not smoking. Oh no. Whatever. I am doing good. I have a lot to talk about with that drop too. Don't trust me,
dude. We're going to be talking about it. Can you give me one, Darcy? I know it's the final time. Can you just give me one? I need it. We all need it.
Ahoy hoy. Sorry.
Thank you.
The way it ended on this season, I just took me right out of it apparently. I wasn't prepared for that ending.
Wasn't even prepared to give an ahoy hoy, a chips ahoy hoy.
Nothing's going right for me right now. I don't like it.
It's okay, Darcy. We'll talk about it. This is our group therapy. And rounding out our small battalion, we are so glad to have a true friend and war hero joining us, and her name is CTO118, but you can call her Brushstroke.
I need the therapy session. I am going through quite a traumatic experience.
Oh my gosh. But listen, we'll get to it. We finally made it. The finale for Season 2. I'm pumped to talk about these episodes with you folks. Before we get into everything, can I just say, as a Star Wars fan, we are eating so well right now. I think I watched this finale and then I was like, oh yeah, there's also a new episode of Mando. I was like, holy crap. Like, I was so stoked to just be like, to remember that we had Mando. And that episode was incredible. And then we have Star Wars Celebration coming up and Star Wars Visions and Ahsoka and Skeleton Crew. Like, I think it's kind of an interesting situation that we're in right now where we are kind of seeing Marvel on that side of the fandom. They're sort of scaling back, and we're almost seeing kind of a ramping up from Lucasfilm, which I don't mind. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, it makes sense. Star Wars kind of went through that already. After The Last Jedi, and then it was very divisive, and then we had Solo, which really sent people over the edge. Disney was like, we're not going to do movies with Star Wars anymore, but we're still committed to The Mandalorian. And The Mandalorian hit really well, right, in 2019 as one of the first things on Disney Plus. And here we are, with Season 3. And they also dropped The Bad Batch exclusively on Disney Plus, which did really well. We're talking about Season 2, and hopefully we'll get an announcement for a Season 3. But yeah, I think it's safe. Well, it's pretty certain, I think, based on what happens in this episode. But it is interesting to see how, at a point when Star Wars was scaling down, Marvel was scaling up, and now it's kind of come full circle here where Marvel is now scaling down, and it looks like Star Wars is amping up, and I think in the right way through television and episodic content to keep a dialogue and a conversation constantly going in and around these characters that doesn't need to be pocketed in just a theater experience. I know we're looking forward to potentially movie news and at Celebration, but I think at the end of the day, it's Star Wars really is thriving here in episodic content and in live action and animation. Like, this show was so freaking good.
Yeah. I think the other thing too, just because I'm somebody who's experiencing that Marvel burnout, Star Wars is doing a really good job at releasing all of this content. Yes, it may be back to back or it's overlapping, but none of it is the same that's overlapping. So like having Watch Club, having Bad Batch and having Mando happen sort of at the same time or overlap a little bit is totally fine because they're at completely different points in the timeline. They don't really correlate with each other at all. They're live action and animation. So it's nice to feel like we have so much to eat through, like you said, Nate, but it's not overwhelming or too much to the point where it's like I don't care to pay attention to all of it, which is nice, just as someone who's dealing with that with Marvel. So I'm kind of glad that they're scaling back a little bit over there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm enjoying Star Wars. Again, I'm excited for Celebration and everything Star Wars, so that's never going to change. And it's just, like I said, golden era for us fans.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think especially within the world of Star Wars animation, it's must watch, and I would really honestly there's so many rumors circulating about them, potentially announcing even more movies at Star Wars Celebration. I would love an animated movie. I think that would be the coolest thing if we could just get an animated film, go to the theater, and watch a Dave Filoni directed animated Star Wars movie. I think would be really fun and really, really cool. And then we've got that kids series with little Nubs rocking out there, and it's so freaking good.
Star Wars is clearly catering to a wide audience, right? I think with Marvel, I think the audience is very bulk together, if you will, right? But I think for Star Wars, there's so many different entry points for different generations that it really does make it interesting. And to your point, Meg, about they're not really intertwined, I think that could still happen, obviously. And that's the exciting part. That is the exciting part. But the idea, like you're saying, it's like we're getting an animated series that takes place in a different point in time versus The Mandalorian, which is taking place at obviously the opposite end, if you will. It's nice to not have any real overlap, but as fans, we're like looking for it. We're like waiting for something that's going to connect to something else. There is stuff.
Yeah.
Stuff. Yeah. So,
but it's also exciting to every once in a while because it started to happen a little bit, is seeing the animation cross over into the live action and vice versa. Like that is so much fun for people who enjoy both genres. And that moment where we urge the people who are live action only and don't really like animated shows, we're at a point now where you kind of have to watch them.
Well, it's to get the full experience of Star Wars, because the movies themselves are only one part of a larger story. Now, George Lucas obviously built that story, and that's what has built the success of Star Wars. But with someone like Filoni and Favreau and the entire team behind Bad Batch, like Brad Rao and Jennifer Corbett, like they are carrying this series through hurdles of time to get us more information and more connectivity across the board, right? So yeah, I think it's one of those things where it's like we can't be ungrateful for all the content that we have. We're very appreciative of everything and all the stories that we're getting to see, but I know we're all itching to find a way to make them all sort of connect at the same time.
I'm okay with them not connecting ever. I mean, I'm a fan of the books and everything like that, and right now I'm loving the current series, The High Republic, because it is so far removed from everything else that it is all new to me, and I am loving this journey that is taking me on through history of Jedi and Sith and just Force users across the galaxy. So, while the media, like the visual media, like your shows and movies or stuff like that are really popular, I really got to recommend reading these books because they add so much depth to this universe.
And that's the greatest part about like kind of what we're talking about is there's a Star Wars for everyone, and you only and it's something that's kind of obvious at this point, but you only get a better Star Wars out of more Star Wars, and they designed that perfectly. And that's, obviously pretty smart from a money-making standpoint on Disney and Lucasfilm's side, but at the same time, it is true. You really will enjoy it so much more. And I love that we're getting Star Wars not just from different areas of the timeline, but from different perspectives of these different various characters. And in my perspective,
The Jedi are evil.
The Jedi are evil, and we should get to this episode 15. The summit starts off back on Pabu, where our Bad Batch crew continues to study the intel they received from Echo, who lets the crew know that he received intel of a high-level Imperial summit taking place in just 2 rotations on the planet Eriadu. I think I'm pronouncing that right, at Tarkin's compound. He suggests they do a covert infiltration to plant a homing beacon on Hemlock's ship and track him back to his base and thus back to Crosshair. Hunter is hesitant and says they'll be at a tactical disadvantage, but Tech reminds him that Crosshair is still their brother and they do not leave their own behind. Hunter is convinced, and the crew load up the Marauder, but just before they leave, Phee stops by to say goodbye and asks Omega where they're headed, and Omega tells her it's a covert mission. Mission. And I love how she's just like, it's a covert mission. She just like, whispers it. So cute. She then attempts to say goodbye to Tech, who awkwardly avoids conversation with her. She asks him to not go running off with any pirates or smugglers, and he reassures her that the mission should not involve either. She says that isn't exactly what she was getting at, and after a chuckle, she walks away saying, "See you around, Brown Eyes." So clearly, Phee and Brown Eyes absolutely are an item. If we didn't believe it before, it's obviously happening now. Do you think Tech feels the same way about her but just can't express it, or is this one-sided?
I think he has feelings. To your point, he can't express them, but he's not reading the signals, man. She's clearly flirting with him, right? Basically saying, don't run off with anyone else. You're all mine, Brown Eyes, right? Like basically low key saying that. And Tech is just, he's socially awkward, man. He's just not reading the signals.
Yeah. I think after that moment, there's a moment that we will be getting to that we're all very upset about. But after watching that, I actually went back and rewatched that scene in episode 9, The Crossing, with Tech and Omega in the Ipsmium mine, and I was like, I cried all throughout that too. But we did see Tech opening up to Omega about how he processes moments and thoughts differently than everyone else, and I think this was just another example of that. I think he might actually have feelings for Phee here, but he really can't express it.
Yeah, he can't.
And now that I think about it, like I wasn't sure how I felt about the whole Phee and Tech situation. But
I'm shipping them off, man. They should definitely get together. Have some kids.
I'm just saying it makes sense because I think Phee is a treasure hunter and she loves to solve mysteries, right? So it would make sense that she'd go for Tech, who doesn't wear his emotions on his sleeve. Like you have to, you kind of have to like uncover who this person is.
He's an onion.
He's an onion. He's got
so many different layers. He's the real treasure. He's the real treasure.
Real
She just can't unlock. She can't unlock him, right? Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Dinner was coming up.
Yo,
there.
Star
Didn't
Wars
feel it.
romance story. You got like
I'm okay
Tech.
with it. I want a romantic comedy
Phee.
at some point. But what would Phee and Tech's couple name be? Is it Feck? Or is it
T?
I like
No,
T.
I like
mind
Feck. Get the Feck out of here.
Are there ship names in Star Wars? Everyone just says Han and Leia. They never say Heya or
Or
Lon.
Lon.
Hey,
I don't mind it.
maybe you don't.
Yeah, maybe you don't. But yeah, I mean, little Omega, it's a covert mission. I
Oh,
was just
she's
like,
so cute.
But then she goes and says, "I'll tell you all about it after." So
Not
is
that
it
covert.
covert?
No. I also want to call out the moment of Hunter having doubt and Tech being the first one to step up and say they don't leave their own behind. And again, it kind of shows that while it may be tough for him to express his emotions to Phee, he has come a long way from that moment in the Ipsium mine with Omega in terms of showing love for his family, because that was the big contention point for her in that episode, is why don't you express that we are a family? And here this is his way of saying, no, Hunter, we are a family. We do not leave our own behind. And I absolutely adored that.
And when you think about that in relation to what Crosshair's learned over the episodes and understanding the brotherhood and the relationship they had from a distance through his relationships and interactions with others, it's very reminiscent of that overarching theme that they are stronger together.
Always. Okay, let's keep going here. We see Hemlock arriving late to Governor Tarkin's meeting. I'd be pretty upset if he arrived late to my meeting.
This guy just showing up, strolling in. He's like, the meeting doesn't start until I get there.
Apparently. And he says there were matters that required his attention. They managed to sneak by Imperial security cruisers with clearance the Bad Batch manages to sneak by Imperial security cruisers with clearance codes provided to them by one of Echo and Rex's contacts. And they go through a lovely walk through the forest as they size up their next move. They decide to hitch a ride on a Skyrail car in order to access the compound unnoticed. After a bout of acrophobia from Wrecker, the crew make it to the base where they take out the stormtroopers guarding the entrance. Just before we continue, they're using blasters here. Why do you think they aren't using stun blasts at this point?
Well, I feel like one of the things we have noticed, at least throughout this show and this season specifically, is that they can kind of sense when there's another clone. They sort of understand that. And yeah, I think they just are at this point now where it's like, well, anybody in that stormtrooper outfit, there's a very good chance that they're not part of our family or a brother. So I don't think that they have that guard up anymore. And yeah, there's a moment also when they're walking through that forest when Omega says, like, what kind of approach are we going to do? A sidewind reach? And I was like, I love how she's like taking on all of their little code names for things. Yeah. It's so cute.
So good.
I mean, I was of the thinking that this is Tarkin's homeworld, and it was widely known throughout the Clone Wars how much he hated the clones. So
oh, wow.
Yeah.
This isn't really like a surprise to me that he would maybe have a non-clone security detail for his, home base. So that was what I was thinking as soon as they said Ariadu, because again, that is his home world. It's where he grew up. It's where he rose to power and then became friends with Sheev. So, yeah.
Interesting. Buddies with old Sheev, old Palpy. I love the idea of Tarkin and Palpy walking into a room doing a high, like a high five, and he's like, Sheev. Wow, we need an animation of that right now.
Yeah.
I was thinking maybe Echo informed them off screen, like kind of what you were saying, Darcy, of like, hey, we know this area, we know they're not clones or that sort of thing. Because they're just tossing fools all over the place and shooting them. But can we just take a quick moment to just admire the lighting yet again in the forest as they walk through it? Like, listen, we said this last season during the finale episode, they did the same thing in the dark, and it was gorgeous. Yeah. And then Tales for the Jedi, we talked about in our spoiler-free review, absolutely incredible. And then it's just so damn cool when they do the light bleed onto these characters. I think both these finale episodes feel like they've stepped it up in terms of the cinematography and overall
quality.
Look. Like, it's so freaking good.
But even you could go back to the very first episode of season 1 and Hunter chasing Caleb through the forest, and you're looking at it like, this is picturesque. Like, it's so gorgeous. I think it's that, like, the first 6 seasons of Clone Wars was what we knew Star Wars animation to be. And then you get season 7 and the 2 seasons of Bad Batch are like so far ahead in their animation.
They've stepped it up for animation overall across the board. I think like Clone Wars season 7 was unbelievable, but I think that this whole season has been really outstanding for animation, and it really does highlight like Lucasfilm has got it down. This is why they do things in-house. Like, this is why they do things in-house. They don't outsource. They do everything in-house, and it shows, and that's part of the reason why we've the visual effects, in live action look a lot better than something like Marvel, right? Because Marvel, they're always scrutinized based on the fact that like their graphics are inconsistent. It's because they go out of house. They have people competing against one another, and that's all that stuff, that drama that's been on the news, right? But Lucasfilm has stayed committed to that craft because that's kind of what they're built off of, right? So,
Yep.
Well, speaking of staying committed, let's stay committed to this episode. At the summit meeting, Tarkin, amongst other high-ranking members of the Empire, other officers, discussed the next step for securing a military presence throughout the galaxy. Tarkin asks Hemlock what he has to report from his advanced science division. He says the progress they are making in the field of cloning is of great importance to the Emperor, saying that once they've fully unlocked the secrets previously only known to the Kaminoans, they can ensure an enlightened society through advanced technology and molecular alteration. Hurst Ramadi, who just has a terrible haircut in this episode, by the way, like absolutely awful looking. It's just
they did not do a good job animating his hair.
His haircut is so bad. He reminds Hemlock that there are many in the Senate who are fighting for clone rights, and that if word gets out, that could prove detrimental to their goals. Barton Coburn chimes in, mentioning how he served with the clones for many years and reminds them that they are cunning warriors who are loyal to the end. Tarkin says under Jedi leadership, the clones adopted a, quote, disturbing level of individuality. Barton worries about them taking up arms against them, and after Hemlock says some already have, Tarkin dismisses both of them, saying they will deal with them swiftly and unilaterally to quell any threat of a clone uprising. Then he turns his attention to the other side of the table, where he asks Commander Krennic for a status update on Project Stardust. Okay, so that was probably, I think for me, it was the most interesting scene in this episode as far as like building out the overall world, what's going on with the Empire at this point. What did you folks think of this meeting of terrible people, and what did you think of that lovely little Rogue One cameo?
Yeah, I think that this is very enlightening to where the Empire is at this moment with projects and plans, and we know the Death Star is on the horizon, if you will, and so to have Krennic in this scene really does connect those dots and shows how the Empire is invested in things that are going to help them, on a military basis, seize power, while also, obviously, with Hemlock there, on a scientific level, right? Obviously, Tarkin seems to have doubt in what Hemlock's doing and, thinks that it's crazy the amount of money, which makes me wonder, like, again, Hemlock mentions the Emperor.
Yeah.
And for the work for the Emperor. Does Tarkin know what Hemlock's working on and who it's for? Like, is he maybe in the dark about what the research and cloning research is going on that Hemlock's doing and who it's to serve? Because that's kind of what I thought. Like, why would he, if he's doing the work for the Emperor, is he a serious Emperor loyalist? That is part of that fraction that's going to want a cloned version of him to come back.
Well, I think the Emperor, old Palpy, he makes sure that only the people who need to know.
Yes.
And I think there's a lot of mystery. There always has been with him. He doesn't confide in anybody. So if Hemlock is the one who's in charge of the cloning stuff, Hemlock's the only guy who needs to know.
Yeah.
Like we found that out when all that stuff started happening to I can't remember his name now, but the sort of team leader that Crosshair was dealing with. Rampart, thank you. He was told to do all of this stuff, and then old Palpy just like flipped it on its head and was like, sorry, you're fired now and you're going to jail and probably gonna die or something because
Palpy, I love the idea that that's Palpy in the back room of the Senate.
Yeah.
It's just like, hey, you're gonna die now.
You're gonna die now.
It's like,
so.
just whatever, just go away. I will say that I was telling Justin offline that this sort of felt like it reminded me of like what I imagined the Star Wars story group at Lucasfilm is. Like, okay, so we've got the Hemlock's talking about the sequel trilogy stuff, and then they turn over to Krennic and they're like, okay, so Rogue One, what's this all about? Let's talk about this side project. Krennic says one line. He says, "Yes, Governor Tarkin," and that is Ben Mendelsohn's voice, according to the credits. Also, Hurst Ramadi, who's got that horrible haircut, is voiced by Andy De La Tour, who is a British actor who played Ramadi in Rogue One. So there's Rogue One all up and down this episode.
Cool.
And to hear Project Stardust, I think, was such a cool reference.
It just made me think of Thrawn again. Again, I know I'm always looking for references to Thrawn, but I feel like at this point in the timeline, he is still going through the Imperial Academy, so he hasn't even heard about Project Stardust yet. So that's why he's not sitting at this table of bigwigs talking about his Defender program. Because so this is pre-Thrawn era. That's again, find it funny seeing all these Imperials. I'm just wondering about where Thrawn is because that's why I want Thrawn.
Yeah, I know.
You got a hard Thrawn on right now. That's what's going on. Yeah.
Okay. That's well done. Well done. Also, the other thing, too, like the fact that Tarkin calls out an uprising of clones.
Yeah.
Is that something that is being foreshadowed that we would see? Because it kind of feels like this season was showing that.
Well, we had a bit of it in season 1 as well.
Yeah, it probably, very much so, I guess, in season 1. But, it feels like in season 2, they're really leaning into this alignment with the clones. And that's kind of been explored through season 2. So I'm wondering if that's a bit of a foreshadow in regards to what we will see inevitably.
Well, I think that because this show is so focused on clones and their sort of place in the Empire, I think it's a cool parallel to the rebellion. There's a rebellion starting, a spark that's sort of happening. It obviously isn't that noticeable quite yet, but I think that clone uprising is almost the clone version.
Oh, maybe
of
it's the thing that starts the rebellion. Maybe, I don't know.
Because it's like Rex and Echo and that guy with the crazy voice.
Gregor.
They're all sort of already doing some rebellion things. Yeah. So maybe they're the ones that start it all.
I mean, it'd be cool because, the whole reason why Rex had a beard in Rebels was because Filoni imagined him being the guy on Endor, that final battle. Mm-hmm. And it's just like, so if it's of full circle, if he was created from the rebellion to now start and lead the rebellion.
Was his that's his master plan. That's his master plan.
That would be a cool little payoff, I must say.
Yeah, and a much cooler haircut. I also,
Man, you're so hung up on this haircut.
Listen, these haircuts, they got to have better haircuts. I also wanted to just shout out Tarkin for being so relatable here. Of just he knows how difficult it is to get them all together. You know what I mean? When you're trying to get all your friends together and it's like, we can't pick a date. And he's like, even if in the face of an attack, he's like, I don't want to reschedule this. We're just going to figure it out. We're not changing this date. I also wanted to mention that I did predict that we would see a hologram of a red trooper while Hemlock was giving a speech. But I wasn't wrong, but sadly it's not a Sith trooper. It looks like it might just be like an indicator of what clones have died during their experimentation or something like that. You see sort of in the hologram. And one last thing I noticed is there's an empty chair at the table. And there's always an empty chair at
Thrawn?
These meetings. No, definitely not Thrawn, because as Darcy said, it wouldn't be his time yet. But I'm just saying, Vader probably choked some guy out that week.
Yeah,
and he couldn't make
busy.
it to the meeting. You know what I mean?
Or they're saving his seat in case the Emperor himself decides to show up. You always have to have a spot for the big boss.
Seat. That's true.
Yeah, I can see.
Yeah. This seat is uncomfortable. Get me a pillow. Do it. Okay.
Do it.
Limited comfort.
He finally finds a seat that he enjoys. That's oh man, bring back Star Wars Robot Chicken somehow, please. All right, let's keep going here. Back with the Bad Batch, they managed to sneak further into the facility. Wrecker and Omega work on approaching Hemlock shuttle at docking lane 4. As they access the security systems, they notice that the security cameras have been hacked. Oddly enough, Tech and Hunter decide to investigate. While investigating, they notice someone else is targeting this base and planting charges to blow it up. Tech mentions that one bomb will not be sufficient to blow the whole base, and Saw Gerrera says it's a good thing they have more. He tells them his intention is to level the compound and take out every last Imperial inside of it. Hunter tells him that can't happen, as they're tracking one of the officers so that they can find the base where Crosshair is kept. Tech reminds Gerrera that in taking out the compound, he'd be wiping out any chance to gather intel that could help his cause. Saw rebukes this, saying that taking out their top officers will be a good start. But again, Tech reminds him that their ranks will just be quickly replenished. They're all interrupted by a security team, and this causes them to have to split up. So what did we think of seeing Saw Gerrera here, and what do you think of his plan to wipe out the Imperial compound?
Well, I had a quick moment, like Darcy with Thrawn, where I almost thought those two stormtroopers dressed up was Kanan and Ezra. Obviously couldn't be the case because of the timeline,
Right.
but we see them so often dressed like that, and there was a tall one and a short one, so I was like, oh, but yeah, that's not possible. So it's super fun to see Saw. Always great when he pops up in the animated shows because he is sprinkled throughout them all.
Yeah, he's kind of becoming the new 3PO, at least for these series, these animated series.
Yeah, and I feel like Saw's always been sort of the extremist when it comes to rebellion stuff, so it's not a surprise that he just wants to blow everything up.
Blow it all
Yeah.
up.
Well, you see that Andor theme of, doing good, but doing, but having being bad at the same time.
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Like,
there's no conscience.
like the fact that Tech is like, well, if we gather intel, that can be useful for like destroying their infrastructure, but you just want to kill them all and just destroy their remnants. Like there's no like that doesn't solve the problem, right? It is kind of the mentality around it. But again, like you said, Saw has always been that sort of radicalist, sort of extremist style of rebellion. But I think rebellions need that too. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, totally. I mean, that happens with every sort of visionary group. But I think, again, it all stems from that one episode in Clone Wars where they kill his sister. So it's this vengeful feeling. It's not a like to gain power over them or to learn things.
He just wants to kill.
Yeah, he doesn't want to demolish
revenge.
from the inside.
Yeah,
He just wants revenge.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a ton of Rogue One in this episode, which I think could be a running theme as we slowly creep towards the moments of Andor and New Hope. I mean, we're at 18. What is it? 18 BBY. So we're a little ways out, but it makes sense that we're seeing this stuff,
conversation. Yeah,
this conversation
already
happen in these characters, and I think as for Saw, he's clearly getting to the place where we see him 20 years from now in Rogue One, where he's absolutely like that full-on extremist and just wants to kill everyone. His logic here makes absolutely no sense.
Yeah, exactly.
And given what happens later, and we'll get to it, but I'm beefing with this guy right now, okay? I liked Saw Gerrera before. I'm beefing with this guy, and he's the reason they weren't able to complete their mission. He's the reason they can't get back to Crosshair, and it's really frustrating that he's doing this, and it just continues to show kind of the early mistakes made by the quote-unquote good guys. Right. And this is kind of a thing that we've sort of been seeing more and more throughout these different eras of Star Wars, as we're kind of going along. And so it's really interesting to kind of see that happening within this timeline.
Yeah, they're really hammering home the whole idea of good as a matter of perspective. You can do horrible things for the right reason, and it still doesn't change the fact that they're horrible things.
So who's ever right and who's ever wrong, right? Like, they that's been seed planted since friggin' The Last Jedi. They started putting that in there, and then that as like was sort of like a thread that has been, or a seed that's been planted in all of these different shows and all of these different ways to kind of talk about what does good look like, what does bad look like, right?
It's what George Lucas, listen, say what you will about some of the dialogue in those prequels, but from my perspective, the Jedi are evil. Like that is essentially
actually point of view,
right? They're from my point of view. There we go. Yeah. So that's kind of the idea. Okay, back in the meeting room as alarms blaze and shock troopers walk in to protect them, Tarkin demands they proceed with the meeting. He's like, we can't pick another day, telling them they are perfectly safe. The Bad Batch then make their way through the compound, taking out troopers as they go. They eventually make it back onto the Skyrail car to make a swift exit in fear of getting caught in Guerrera's explosion. Gerrera and his troops manage to steal a ship and fire the explosions that ripple through the base, but cause no damage to the meeting room. This explosion does, however, cause the Skyrail car to lose power, and just like at the end of Episode 1, the Bad Batch is left high in the sky as we cut to credits. So I know we all want to get to that next episode and get to that moment, but just before we do, what did you think of this episode as a midway point?
Honestly, I was very much whelmed by this episode.
Yeah.
It served the purpose of leading up to the finale, and that was all it did, in my opinion. There was nothing really wow aside from that, like Saw Gerrera surprise, being crazy again, and then Director Krennic for 2 seconds. Like that was all the joy I got out of this episode, unfortunately. So it was very much whelmed.
Yeah, I
like that phrase.
I think it reminded me, like the first episode of this entire season, as a one of two. But like that first episode, I felt like it also did a good showcase of showing us like all the different skills of each member of the Bad Batch. Omega sneaking around, Wrecker wrecking, like he stomps on a little mouse droid at one point. Hunter leading them, and Tech doing all that reprogramming. Like it's very much meant to be a setup for what's to come. But I think it was also kind of almost in a weird way, like a nostalgia trip for like, hey, this is where we came from as well. Like this.
Well, no,
this is like what we began. This is exactly how we began, sort of thing.
Well, it's the Bad Batch. This was a classic heist infiltration episode. To your point, that showcases the skills of the Bad Batch collectively working together, infiltrating and getting in. But Saw cut his way through their plans. I don't know. I was trying to think of something. He sawed his way through it.
I love it. Good job.
But anyways, there you go.
Yeah.
But I think that the circumstances that they find themselves at the end of this episode, I'm with Darcy. I felt a little whelmed, right? It's just like, well, why can't we just keep going? Why do I need to go to the next episode, right?
Right.
If it had been more drastic where like they were on their way and then they got catapulted and they suddenly were divided, I'd have been more interested in like, oh, okay, like they were almost on their way out and now they're all separated. So like how is this all going to come together? So I'm with Darcy. I think that like I would have just rather this have been one episode. I think to your point in episode 1, where it does leave you with that cliffhanger, it does set up them being divided. It sets up like they're divided. So, that made it a little bit more interesting and serves the 1-2 punch. But here it was like, why do we need to break? They're stuck in the air.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's almost like what happens at the beginning of the next episode could have happened at the end of this one. So like it's almost, my brain is thinking like the moment that Tech is falling and shoots his gun, and that could have like cut to black.
That would have been
like,
more impactful.
What?
Yeah, that would have been more impactful for, and then that would have at least rounded out, the back half of the of this 2-parter as like, maybe a bit of a vengeance piece, or like them getting out of there, whatever, right? So I agree with you, Meg. I agree with you.
Well, I mean, it's good that we didn't have to wait a whole week to get to that second episode. I'm glad they put it out at the same time.
Yeah,
and
that's true.
I do want to shout out Kevin Kiner again. The theme here when we hear Gerrera and his troops, again, I'm beefing with Gerrera, but this moment when he's like, when they're running through, they broke, like the elevator opens up, he's shooting all of them. This music was so good, and it reminded me a lot of what Giacchino did with Rogue One, where there's like these like really like sort of like swirling strings going on, and I was like, it was a get hype moment, even though I was like really pissed at the guy. Yeah.
There was also a moment of animation that I got really excited about, not just the landscapes and everything, but when they're in that sort of like back and forth battle scene they've just seen, Saw, Tech does this like crouch and turn, and the camera, the way it like follows him into a corner to hide was really cool. I don't know if anybody else noticed that, but yeah, there's a moment where he like is getting shot at, he shoots, and then he turns to like go in behind sort of like a corner so he can hide. But just the animation of that was so well done, and I don't think they use any mocap for this show. So,
well, I mean, the way they run is so inhuman. I don't think that is mocap.
So then even for a like crouching moment, just because there's a moment in the Clone Wars season 7 that they do definitely use mocap. So sometimes it's like, are they just that good at animation? And that is the case.
Well, sometimes, as Star Wars fans, we love a good turn and shoot, as we've seen from many different characters, in good ways with like someone like maybe like Han or something, but bad ways, Book of Boba Fett. Let's keep moving on here. On to episode 16. Are you guys ready? I don't know if I'm ready to do this.
No.
Plan 99, our final episode of Season 2, starts off right where we left our Bad Batch crew, stuck high in the sky in a sky rail car with no power to move forward. As they force open the door, they're immediately attacked by troopers on the other car. And I love seeing Wrecker. He pulls Omega by the head into the car and just like grabs her whole head. Tech says he cannot reboot the system, but he'll need to. Sorry, he can reboot the system, but he'll need to plug directly into one of the terminals on the track. Tech manages to reach the terminal as Tarkin demands air support be sent in to take them down, even though this would risk the lives of his own soldiers. But he says he's aware. Do it. Which Megan and I were joking that maybe he got that from his boss.
Old Palpy.
During the aerial strike, the second car is shot loose from the track, pulling both cars down. Tech attempts to climb back to his brothers, but as he does, he notices that any shift of weight will cause both cars to fall. He demands they sever the connection hinge. Wrecker tells him he won't do it until Tech gets back up. Tech says there is no time and says Plan 99. Wrecker says, don't you do it, Tech. And Tech sighs and says, when have we ever followed orders? He shoots the line separating the two cars and falls along with it as Omega screams his name. Without the weight of the other car, the remaining Skyrail car advances too quickly, causing them to crash through a wall at the base of the compound, and we fade to black. You know, they do this. They build up this character for an entire season after we complained in the first season that we didn't get enough of certain characters, and then they just rip our hearts out. Let's talk about Tech. He sacrificed himself here. What did you think of this moment, this loss, and is Tech truly gone?
I am still emotionally distraught about all of this.
Oh.
I'm not happy, and I cried so much.
Yeah.
I was so stressed from the moment he like climbed up to the top of that train.
Yeah, he's climbing up the ladder and his little
only
foot
bad
slips.
things. Yeah, only bad things can happen from here. There's a little bit of a like brain moment where he jumps from the rail to the platform to do his little thing, but he has that grapple gun, so I don't know why he did that.
Well, because the jumping was down, grappling is for going up.
Yeah, but you could still. I don't know.
Pulling yourself down, well, it seems like a bad thing. You already fall fast enough, right? Like,
Fair. Okay, physics.
Darcy's got it.
But then I also have that little part in my brain that goes, every single person who's fallen in Star Wars doesn't die.
Well, and another member of the Bad Batch was presumed dead for so long, and then it turns out he was just being used as a computer. So,
Right.
yeah, he's not gone.
He's not dead.
gone.
No, he is 100% still alive. I think it's definitely, it's for the emotional moment that it gave you, because it still hits, even though on the other side I'm like, no, he's still alive. He's down there.
Is he though?
He's alive.
Yeah. Is he though?
We don't.
It's more like
We haven't seen a body.
We'll
man.
talk about it later.
We'll see what happens. But I honestly think that this is, to your point, Nate, like you were saying, they spent the entire season really giving each of the Bad Batch their moment to shine. But now
a lot more Tech this season.
No, but I think now we see that now because Tech is dead, right, or has gone, right? We realize like
MIA.
yeah, you can
He's
reflect.
MIA.
He's MIA. There you go. He's
Darcy
MIA.
doesn't want to admit it.
Right.
He's
so,
not dead.
So I honestly think that, for them to spend the season and to give us these hints that someone's not going to end up out of this alive. Like there could be one of the batches that were gone, and the fact that it is Tech, it hits that much more. Like it hurts. But I got to say, Michelle Ang as Omega, really emotional. She really, like, you felt it. It didn't feel like it was scripted. It came from a very real place. And then to read after that she was very shocked at that outcome and what had happened, I think that's what really connected with that performance in that moment was actually losing Tech. So I thought that was great.
And even D Dadley Baker, D Dadley Baker. That's what we'll call him.
D Daddy.
He is a Dadley. I think even just with Wrecker in that moment, like screaming out and reaching out, and just that line delivery as Tech. was fantastic. I think I'm torn on if I want him to come back, and I'll explain why. I of course I want him to come back, but I also would want them to write it. They'd have to, and they're super smart, so they probably can figure it out. But they'd have to write it back to a point where this sacrifice still matters, right? This moment still holds that same levity if they bring him back. I think, if they did something like maybe they do something where the Bad Batch is trapped, and in the distance Omega sees a ship and it's like flying away from them, but then it does a special turn that she recognizes, and it's the Tech turn, and he flies in to say, I don't know. I'm just writing my wishful thinking here.
Yeah. Put the pen down.
Well, I also think too, like the fact that we're pretty sure the Tech is not gone.
Oh yeah.
The emotional weight is from Omega and Wrecker, and the way they respond to Tech falling. That's more, that's more what's so sad to me.
Yeah, it's their emotional reaction that makes us react. Like I think, like that's why I cried, right? But I think there's still a place to bring back Tech and have it make sense. He could have amnesia, right? He could have totally lost his memory. You know what I mean?
Or brainwashing. I mean, later on this episode.
Oh, is he their villain? Whoa, there you go, Nate. That's what you got. You got it.
Didn't we kind of
pick your pen back up? Write that.
Didn't we already get that?
No,
with
he was already like that. He was
already a dick. Yeah.
He was already a dick. Tech's not a dick. Tech is not evil.
He's a sweet guy. Maybe Fee is the one that brings back his memory. Brown eyes. Bro,
what, they have like a Natasha Romanoff Hulk situation sort of thing?
Maybe.
The sun is coming down.
I wouldn't go that far, maybe. I don't know. Just be more like seeing her be their jar. I like that idea. I don't know. I just feel like the fact that we have seen like far worse falling, and especially on like Iriadu is a very lush planet, lots of lakes and trees, very easy at breaking falls. Like he wasn't that high up, considering planes and ships exist, or like spaceships exist. He could have fallen from outer space.
Yeah.
He'd be dead. He's falling from a chair. I don't think he's that hurt. So,
video game physics. If he falls into water, he's fine.
Exactly.
Well,
he's also super smart. Maybe he knows exactly how to aim himself to minimize damage.
Aren't they also heightened for like pain tolerance?
Yes,
and like,
they are.
Yeah,
they have enhanced reflexes too. So like, there are so many things.
He has a grapple gun.
I mean,
boom,
I'm thinking that he didn't have a lot of charges, because why wouldn't he shoot and then?
Listen,
I don't know.
Okay, if a Tech falls in a lake, does he make a sound? I also want to say poor Omega.
Wrecker does.
Wrecker definitely does. Omega's been through so much. Like we were crying when she was upset about Echo leaving for like a week,
a hot minute.
And now Tech might be gone forever.
Or in season 1 when Wrecker is like the inhibitor
and
chip goes off, and then he's
okay. Let's get
trauma.
My heart can't. Let's just keep going here.
Trauma.
Omega wakes up and stumbles as she searches for Tech, and I love that that's the first thing that she does. She falls down and blacks out, and from her point of view, we see Wrecker, Hunter, and Echo carrying her back to the Marauder while escaping Imperial forces. They bring her back to Ord Mantell, where she wakes up with Hunter by her side. AZ floats in, relieved to see that she's awake, and Wrecker follows and tells her not to scare them like that ever again. Hunter asks Omega what she remembers, and she comes to the realization that Tech isn't there, and that what actually happened. Tech didn't make it. She begs Hunter, saying they have to go back, crying that Tech's not gone. He can't be. She asks Hunter why Tech made the decision to sacrifice himself. And then Hunter, sort of tries to ease her mind and tells her that the galaxy has changed so much, and so have they. He asks Omega if she'd want to basically retire on Pabu, and she just sort of quietly nods her head. Sid hands Wrecker a drink, telling him it's on the house and that she's sorry about Goggles. Echo, back on the ship, gets a warning from Gonki that the Empire has arrived, and with his comms scrambled, he sets out to warn his brothers. Sid remains unnervingly quiet, and Wrecker asks her, what did she do? When all of a sudden, the clone commandos bust into the bar. Hunter orders Omega to run and hide, but she stops, saying she's already lost Tech. She's not going to lose them, too. Hunter enters the bar and sees Wrecker handcuffed on his knees with blasters at his head. Hemlock turns and hands a case of credits to Sid and says, "Our business is done. Leave." And she slowly walks away with her head lowered in shame. So let's pause here. Sid betrayed them. We all predicted this was going to happen. I think the whole world did. What did we think of this betrayal? And why do you think she did it? What do you think she meant by making the best of a bad situation?
Well, first of all, I know that AZ is like a health droid or whatever, but why didn't they go to Pabu?
Yeah.
Why are they going back to Orb-Mental?
I guess
like
maybe
that.
They may have been worried about the heat they might be bringing after, raiding an Imperial base. And
Yeah,
having it blow up behind
that's
them.
what I thought. I thought that.
Okay.
I honestly thought that, and I thought it was probably closer to where they were versus going all the way back to Pabu. But I don't know. I don't know the logistical. I don't have a map of the galaxy.
Maybe they were worried that, like, I think AZ's maybe the only one that's ever medically worked on them, I think.
Yeah.
So maybe that's
true.
kind of the first thought that
They went
have,
to their
because
doctor.
That's all that they knew.
Yeah.
Yeah, they went to their doctor.
Well, and they do say that too. Is like, go to Orb-Mental, AZ can help her. So
Yes.
that's
Yeah.
obviously all they were worried about.
Yes, that's probably exactly what they were worried about. And it seems like Sid was just waiting for that opportunity, right?
Well, and I think there must have been some sort of tip-off for Sid that they know, like the Empire knows that she knows where Omega is or knows about them or has this connection to them. And that was the, like, threat that...
That's Sid's talking about? Yeah, no, I totally got you.
Yeah, she was threatened by the Empire. Hey, we know you're connected to Omega, so either you hand her over or we take you or whatever.
Right, and I think, because she didn't know that they were coming back in that moment. So it's not like she would have had time to, like, make a deal and all this stuff, like make a quick phone call in the back room or something. Like, I think she knew, she knew that they were coming, and she didn't know they were coming, but she knew the number to kind of call immediately to sort of say, like, hey, they're here. The deal we mentioned, we're going to go through with it. But I also feel like a lot of it is out of spite as well. Obviously, Sid's pretty pissed with them. I hope she redeems herself next season because I really do like Rhea Perlman. And I think it would be really great to see a moment of redemption for Sid in whatever way that is.
Nate's got beef with Sid now too, right?
Oh, I got beef with Sid, beef with Saw. Like, look out! I got
Sid
beef
Saw.
with all of you.
Sid Saw. I have to say though, I think you're right, Nate. I think there's a little bit of like frustration from Sid in that she did a lot for the Bad Batch. I think she cared about Omega as well, and they sort of like turned their back on her. And I think, like making the best of a bad situation, it could be the Empire kind of breathing down her neck about something, or she has debts. Like, I think the Empire is obviously, it has, sort of is it called an APB when they put like a wanted for people? Yeah. So I think that the Empire is definitely has sent out, feelers for, we're looking for a group of clones, right? And I'm sure Sid acted on that because there was a hefty reward that was there for her. So
yeah, I also wanted to just kind of mention I had a prediction earlier that Darcy, you absolutely, I feel like we're same brain right now from earlier where Hemlock throwing the Tech's glasses onto the ground. He very much could be lying here, and maybe he's working on Tech at his lab. But I was wondering if maybe he's like, he fixes his vision, and so he doesn't need the glasses anymore. And so Tech doesn't, he's sort of improving Tech, but at the same time, he's making him not Tech anymore. And I do like the idea that if he was to return, Tech
he'd be their
sort
enemy.
he becomes something that, is even more tragic than his death. I think would be really, really kind of a really sad way to do it. But then I like kind of, Megan, your idea of like, or I don't know who said it, but Fee being the one to...
That was Justin.
Justin, for Fee being the one to bring him back. I'm just saying, let's get the pen. I'll write it out. We'll send it to Dave.
Well, it's kind of like he would be,
Brad,
Tech would be
Jennifer.
the Bad Batch. He would be their Darth Vader, right?
Oh.
The hero that comes back to be their villain, their biggest threat. But yeah, you're gonna throw goggles and be like, this is all that we recovered. How does a fall make someone explode?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's all you could find was his goggles. Come on,
yeah. Especially his helmet went around his goggles. For those goggles to still be intact after a fall, that means that helmet stayed on.
Oh.
Like he maybe a branch hit and just broke the lens or something like that.
I think you're right though. I think that they have him. They have him.
Yeah.
We'll
that's
get that
100% what I'm thinking is that Hemlock has taken him back because again he sees these unique clones as the next step in his research. I mean, talking about clones again, I want to see more clone commandos because they are so cool. Every time they show up, I want to know more about them. And the fact that we've never seen a clone commando without the helmet on. Are they Mandalorian by Creed? Because that was a story in Legends, was that Jango Fett raised and trained the clone commandos, and he was the only one to do it with all his Mandalorian brethren. So they were Mandalorian in culture as well as DNA. So again, give me more clone commandos because again, I want more. They are so cool.
Yeah, just find a way to give us a Star Wars Republic Commando 2. Okay, video game. Like, can we? If someone do it, EA. I don't care who does it. But let's keep going here. Hemlock demands Hunter lowers his blaster and hand over Omega. He says he finds it fascinating that the clones can be so paternal. He says he was sorry to hear about Tech and tosses Tech's glasses over to him. And he says, if you don't lower the blaster now, you will lose another. Hunter puts down his gun and they cuff him and they head out into the street. Omega fires 2 blasts from her arrow at them or from her bow at them and demands that they let her brothers go. Hemlock offers an exchange saying that if Omega goes with him, he'll let Hunter and Wrecker go. Almost immediately, a clone commando drops in and stuns Omega. AZ finds Echo, and instead of sneaking past the troopers, they commandeer a walker, and Wrecker and Hunter are broken free as they smash through their captors. Hunter runs towards Hemlock's ship, but arrives too late, and he watches as it takes off with Omega in it. They head back to the Marauder, narrowly escaping Ord Mantell. And Echo says there was no way to track Hemlock's ship, and Hunter says they are going to get her back, and they don't stop searching until they do. So what did you think of these moments? Omega was so easily captured, unfortunately. Where do you think Hunter, Wrecker, and Echo will go next?
Ooh, that's the $1 billion question, man.
I'm just
I
asking
really know,
you to
but
pick up the pen and keep writing, buddy.
No, I know. I think there's a lot for them to do, but they need to obviously regroup. They've taken some losses, right? So I think if we do find ourselves in a season 3 with them, I'm thinking some time has passed between the end of season 2 and the beginning of season 3. So that will be interesting. Clone Commandos coming in and swooping up Omega. I wish she had a little more time to use that goddamn bow. I wanted to see a little more. I wanted to see her suddenly pull in her tricks and get them out, but then inevitably get caught. But you know what I mean? Like,
she's going to do a backflip shot by the end of this series. I guarantee it. It's going to be amazing.
By the end of this series, whatever that is, right? So, but I'd like again, she's shown so much growth over this second season that it was surprising that she got swooped up so easily. When she fired those 2 shots, I was like, oh yes, we're gonna get to see some Omega bow and arrow action, and it was over very quickly.
I mean, I kind of like that. It just goes to show she is a kid. As much as she thinks she is a part of the team and stuff like that, we forget that she is a child. So it makes sense that she would be caught so quickly, especially by this elite team. My whole thing is that where Echo, Wrecker, and Hunter are going is right to Rex. Because Rex is the one who's leading this hunt for all the clones who are in need of help and stuff like that. So that is the best way to at least get on the case for finding these missing clones because that is the clones care about clones. So
Darcy, I feel like
there's your uprising.
I know this isn't Avatar, but I feel like our head tails are attached to each other right now or something. It feels great.
You're airbending.
Yeah. Oh, is that what's going on? How many Avatar? No, different series. No, you know what? I think she was. I think her emotions were running pretty high, and like you said, Darcy, she's a kid, so like she's a bit distracted in that moment. But yeah, dude, 100%. Rex is where they're going. I think they want to seek out maybe more of Rex and Echo's sources. And what if, hear me out here, what if those chain codes to get onto Ariadu, if that's how it's pronounced, am I pronouncing that right?
Iriatu.
I've really only ever read it,
Okay.
so your guess is good as mine.
So what if those chain codes, right, to get past the security ships, what if they came from Admiral Rampart? He'd have a vendetta against the Empire. What if Rex has broken him out of jail, of Imperial jail, and he almost is like a Callus type character, right? Like, what if they've kind of got this sort of trust in him, and he's sort of like this? I would love to see him come back because I think he was a great character,
Well, especially for how quickly he was just kind of moved to the side, though,
Right.
too, right? Like, he could come back in a capacity like that.
Yes, and I don't see him being another Callus in that he actually does change sides. I feel like he would just be working with the clones in order to turn them over and present them to the Empire.
Anything to kind of get a higher status, to be like, look, I've redeemed myself. But I do think it would be kind of a neat sort of play if he was involved somehow. I don't know. Maybe he'll just be in jail forever.
Yeah.
And die.
Yeah, and then you're gonna die.
Stupid Rampart.
Hemlock arrives with Omega back on Mount Tantus and requests that the doctor has Emery see to Omega's injuries. Omega looks at a somber Nala Se and asks her why she brought her there, or why she was brought there. Hemlock tells Nala Se that Prime Minister Lama Su told him that she had quite the attachment to the young clone. So he's returned her, and now she can reconsider working on the Emperor's project. She tells him that what he seeks is not possible, to which he responds with, "Make it possible. If you refuse or fail, Omega will suffer the consequences." Omega is brought into the room where she sees Crosshair unconscious, laying on an operating table. Emery walks up to Omega, and Omega says she wants to talk to Nala Se. Emery tells her that it's ironic that she'd trust the Kaminoan, but not her. Omega says she doesn't know her. And Emery kneels down and says, "You might know me better than you think. We're sisters, Omega." And as the camera pans out, the season ends. So huge reveal here. Megan's doing a happy dance. I'm happy to see, Megan, that you and I were right all along. So, now we know about Omega's big sister, Emery. What does this mean? Do you think that maybe there's more female clones out there? And do you think Omega was only important to Hemlock in order to get Nala Se to continue her work? Or do they still need something from Omega specifically for the Emperor's special project? I know that's a lot of questions. I'm just pumped about this reveal.
Well, I mean, number one, I screamed when she said, "I'm your sister," because I was like, I knew it.
So
I've
good.
never predicted something ever. I mean, I feel like when you look back now knowing this, it is pretty obvious, but it's still really cool.
I was like, damn, they were right. Like, because like, honestly, it's like, I know Nate, the justification was the accent.
Yeah, it just
and getting
proves
a
that if you
distinction.
have a New Zealand accent in Star Wars, you're a clone.
probably a clone.
You're a
That's
clone.
it.
Yeah.
Listen to yourself in a recording, and if it sounds like it's from New Zealand, you're a clone.
You're a
Yeah,
clone.
which is oddly, it's kind of comical.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's
They just need to
sort
go
of
to
the
the
thing
planet-
that brought it together.
They need to go to a planet that accent originates from, just to get it out of the way. One episode, quick stop, pit stop, boom, answer solved.
There you
Like
go.
no more. Every accent is a clone now, or New Zealand accent is a clone now. 'Cause that would just be an annoying giveaway, in my opinion.
Yes.
Well, yeah. But then the real hint or giveaway was when Crosshair shot everybody in that room and then only stunned Emery. I feel like maybe he knew at that point that she was a clone.
Well, I mean, you
Maybe
even
she
said it
told
earlier,
him.
Megan. Like they can sort of sense,
Or they know.
right? They can sense when there are other clones around them.
Crosshair.
Yeah. But I think she's certainly maybe like a clone trial that didn't go the way either the Kaminoans wanted or the Empire wanted.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting to see she has two names though. Like she's Emery Carr. So I wonder if this means she was registered as like a regular citizen and she was born on Camino, but then she like attended in the Imperial Academy for Science where she
So
met
she
Well,
think
yeah, we
she's
don't know how
undercover?
old she is.
Right.
Do you think she's undercover?
undercover. From who?
Like she's just undercover in the Empire.
Oh, like do you think what you're saying that you believe that that Hemlock doesn't know she's a clone?
I believe that she does not. He.
But
does not
she's
know
got
that
a New
she's
Zealand
clone.
accent, Justin. How can
Well,
he
why
not
isn't
tell?
why isn't he analyzing her?
Interesting.
Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering if to your point, she has a name, she's registered.
Yeah.
If part of that had to do with some sort of Camino plan to
wow.
infiltrate the
this
Empire.
Is like Nalase's secret person.
Yeah. Her intel. Maybe she's the one that's feeding intel to the clones.
Interesting.
I don't know.
I'm wondering if she's like one of like kind of like the Bad Batch, in that there was an alteration at one point, and instead of just canceling it, they let it go through, and the result was Emery Carr. Because that would be a really interesting exploration, and then that's like that would make sense as to why she would be important to the story of the Bad Batch if she too was a defective clone to begin with.
Oh,
So
she
that'd
joins
be,
them? Oh, wow.
Well,
I think it'd be really neat, especially because we saw that she already
They need
has
tech.
a connection to Crosshair, wanting him to cooperate, to not see him suffer and stuff like that. So
Sure.
yeah, I
Oh
don't
yeah,
know, really
the,
cool.
the writing was on
really
the wall
cool
for
reveal.
sure.
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Really
I
cool reveal.
remember when we were talking about this early on, and I think it was, I can't remember where it was, but we were talking about it in one of the episodes, and I was just like, I was saying like there are instances beyond just the accent and the things that are more telling to the fact that this reveal matters in that, you know, the way she's sort of empathetic, the way she longingly looked at Nala Se in the cell, right? And you know, that sort of stuff is the telling piece of she knows something and she's involved in something, but I don't think we fully understand yet what that is. I think there's a little I think there's some undercover action going on.
Well, you know, I also wonder, Star Wars is not afraid to give us twins every now and then. And so I'm wondering if she's a twin sister of Omega, but she was given the same gene that makes the other clones grow faster.
Then they
Age
wouldn't
faster?
be
Yeah.
twins.
Well, no, I mean, technically they could be born at the same time.
Yeah, but
Then
all the
twins.
clones are twins, and they're not twins. They're a billion.
That's what I'm saying,
tuplets or
dude.
whatever.
A
I-
trintillion.
No, I think it's likely that you guys were on the right track, I think, before. I think she is a version of Omega, and I think Omega is still special, as they've highlighted in the first season. Like there is something about her that makes her entirely unique in comparison.
Why is
to
she
the other
blonde?
Well, she's a direct gene though too, right? Her and
That's
Boba
right.
Fett are the only two clones
That's right.
that are
Yeah, you're
like
right.
pure
Yes, I forgot about that.
genetics.
Yep.
And I think that is another reason why Hemlock wants her. Like, yes, I do think she's bait for Nala Se, but I wonder if they know.
They could still share a
about-
birthday. If you think about it, like they don't have to be made at the
So
same
can a
time as all the
bunch
other
of
clones.
So can a bunch of clones,
Sure,
though.
but if just Omega and Emery share a birthday, wouldn't that make them twins?
No, because a bunch of people share birthdays and they're not twins.
I don't know. That's
like,
but you're
cloning is not
looking at
true
cloning as
birth.
birthing. Exactly.
Yeah, cloning is not
That's-
true
that's
birth.
not
They are
right. It's-
manufactured
okay.
people. That is what a
Okay.
clone
I
is.
think what you're describing might challenge religion in a lot of ways. actually.
Well,
But I also think she calls herself Omega's sister because all clones call each
brothers.
other
They're
brothers.
brothers.
Yeah.
That's
well, and I
all.
think I do think that she's going to be a main character in the next season. I think
For sure.
I think with like Tech said, even though she's an enemy right now, Tech said they never leave their own behind, and I think Omega in this next season is going to start to form a bond with her. And for Crosshair, I think he'll have to not only get used to living amongst his Bad Batch brothers again, but also her. And I think there's going to be a little bit more of a point of contention between them. And listen, no one will ever replace Tech, especially because he's not dead, apparently. But
He isn't.
as far as someone with his skill set, I wonder if she could fit that role within the crew. I think would make a lot of sense. I don't think she'll be necessarily
dead,
the
though.
new one, but
No,
but I mean,
yeah.
even just temporarily for what they need from a standpoint of like that
Yeah,
sort
it
of
would be an
skill set.
interesting. It would
For
be an
the
interesting.
escape.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, I think what we find ourselves at the end of this season, in this final episode, is, season 3 is going to have them divided. They spent all their time in this season together, so now, Omega is going to be with Emery and Crosshair on Mount Tantus,
Mhm.
and Hunter, Wrecker, and Echo are just going to be following leads and trying to get where is this location, right? So they're going to find a way to reconnect, and hopefully if they do it really well, it won't be until the end of the season or
Finale.
the finale, where it would really matter. We can just follow these two different storylines over the course of a season, because that'll be nice, a little variety and taking us into different moments and following those threads and seeing how things will connect. And maybe there's that moment where they kind of they're almost at that point where they could connect, but then something happens and it divides them yet again. Like it makes for a really good, there you go. Yeah. And like it makes for a really good story for season 3.
I'm only down for that, Justin, if season 3 is not the last season, because I do want a couple of episodes with I want the whole crew. I want every single one of them working together and fighting a good fight. So they'll
give you season 3.
Yeah.
And then they'll give you your movie, and
there we go. Bad Batch the movie.
Done.
And it'll be like Rogue One, where they all die at the end, because if they were still around by the time A New Hope was, where the fuck were they in the Empire? Like fighting the Empire.
You
then?
know what, Darcy? Maybe
saying.
they all just fall from a train car, and we never know if they're ever alive again. But let's get to the rating. Oh, one more thing. Sorry, there are a bunch of tubes in that room with bodies in them. At first, I was like, are those a bunch of Snokes? And it's like, no, that would be way too early. Way too early. They're probably just clone bodies. But before we get to our rating for these episodes and this season, I wanted for the final time to give you another batch fact. I got to say it right. A batch fact. The final batch fact of season 2. Keisha Castle Hughes, the voice of Emery Carr, is no stranger to Star Wars, as she played Naboo Queen Apolena in Revenge of the Sith. There you go. So she was the queen after Padme, I guess. There you go. All right, that's the final batch fact of the season. I want to know, what are your overall thoughts and final score collectively for both of these episodes, which for these 2 episodes, we're going to be rating them on a scale of 1 to 5 found sisters. And then we'll be rating this season of The Bad Batch on a scale of 1 to 5 lost brothers.
Too soon.
Justin, kick us off.
Well, I think the last 2 episodes of The Bad Batch season 2 had some very thrilling moments, but they didn't really fully deliver on a conclusion that I was hoping for what was, in my opinion, a very exciting season. I really enjoyed this season overall. The implications from these 2 episodes and the connections to the larger Star Wars universe were significant, and they also added a level of depth and story that will, undoubtedly just impact future seasons. Episode 15 gave us a classic Bad Batch heist style episode with that infiltration, and gave us some iconic Star Wars characters like Tarkin and Guerrera. And their inclusion in the episode not only provided a greater opportunity for action and suspense, but also allowed the writers to delve deeper into the complicated politics in and around this Imperial time. In episode 16, the stakes are obviously raised at the end of 15, and the Batches are forced to make a sacrifice that leads to a lost brother, and it delivered on an emotional moment. And that was really through the performances, like we were talking about, from D. Bradley Baker as Wrecker and Michelle Ang as Omega. And it still has me teary-eyed. Honestly, it does. The moment left a very lasting impression, not just on the audience, but on the characters as well. I think the 2-part finale was a satisfying conclusion to the setup of what will be plenty of potential next season. The implications of the cloning and its importance, I hope that's more explored, obviously, and what we see here. While I might have been expecting more, I did enjoy what we got. So these 2 episodes, a 4 out of 5 found sisters. Now, as for the season in its entirety, I think that this season has proven to be a masterclass in balancing different styles of storytelling to make each week enjoyable for fans. From action-packed episodes to emotionally character-driven moments, head writer Jennifer Corbett and supervising director Brad Rao have stuck to the perfect balance between pacing and variety. One of the standout elements of this season has been the exploration of the characters' dynamics, both within the core team, but with new allies and enemies as well. The writers have done an excellent job showcasing the growth and development of the characters while also introducing new faces that add depth and intrigue to an overarching story. Another highlight is obviously the animation. We've talked to death about this animation. It is fantastic. Yep. This is top-notch Star Wars animation. But I also really loved how this season blended the familiar with the new. It continues to explore the aftermath of the Clone Wars and the rise of the Empire, and it introduces fresh concepts and elements that will keep us engaging and always guessing. Like, honestly, we spent a lot of time guessing even just today on these 2 episodes. It's clear that there is a grand plan for this series, and hopefully season 3 will continue to explore the cloning technology, as I was mentioning, and the implications that it has on the larger Star Wars universe. With the intricate storytelling and compelling characters, the second season has proven to be a satisfying continuation to the story, with its well-crafted blend of styles of storytelling and focusing on strong character dynamics. So it's proven to be overly influential to the larger Star Wars story. So I'm giving it a 5 out of 5 Lost Brothers.
Woo! Nice. Okay, Darcy.
Yeah, I mean, I said I was very much whelmed by that first episode. It all it did was set up what was to come in the finale. So that is going to bring the score down a bit, in my opinion. But that finale did give me some really cool scenes. It had me really excited for what is to come, which is kind of what I'm always looking forward to in these Star Wars stories is what's next, because all I care about is getting more Star Wars stories, obviously. So again, I'm really excited to see where it goes in the future, because it is such a unique place to leave these characters off in, and to see like how they're going to get back together, if they ever are going to do that. It's really, really cool potentials for storytelling right there. So that, again, brings it back up a bit. So I'll be giving the finale, the 2 episodes that were the finale of this season, 4 out of 5 Found Sisters, because again, it had me excited for the future, while the first episode kind of bummed me out a bit because it wasn't what I was looking for. Overall, the season is a marked improvement to the last one. I found that when we were at this point last year, we were talking about how we were up and down consistently throughout the season, where one episode would be good and the next one would be bad. Whereas this season, I feel like there are maybe 3 episodes, maybe 4, that I felt like I didn't enjoy as nearly as much as I should, which is, again, great when you have like 75% of your episodes are absolute bangers. To me, that means the season is really well done. So I'll be giving it 4.5 out of 5 Lost Brothers for the full season. Thoroughly enjoyed it.
Very cool. Megan.
Well, you both said no, I'm not going to do this whole thing. You both pretty much said a lot of how I feel. These last 2 episodes probably could have just been 1 hour-long episode. I feel like there was no need to split them in 2. Or the split could have happened at Tech's fall instead to make it a little bit more impactful. I'm not the biggest fan of the politic part of Star Wars, but again, that's totally just my own taste. So yeah, I think these 2 finale episodes are not my favorite, but still exciting. It was a great, satisfying payoff for me for being able to have predicted Emery's state. So that was a great ending. But I'm going to give these last 2 episodes 4 out of 5 Found Sisters.
But if they had included a Clone Wars character, it would have been a 5, right?
I mean, if Ahsoka popped her head in, of course.
Right.
No, and I mean, we did technically get a Clone Wars character. We got Saw Gerrera, so that was great. But like you said, we all got beef with Saw.
I'm
so
mad with them. Yeah.
As for the season, I mean, go back and listen to the rest of our watch clubs. I think I gave almost every episode a 5. I enjoyed this entire season thoroughly, except for one particular episode, which we all know which one that was. I love every character in this show. I've enjoyed the form of storytelling. Justin, like you said, the animation is out of this world. It's so fantastic, and I couldn't be happier with a Star Wars animated show. So I am also going to give this a 5 out of 5 Lost Brothers. I still think it's too soon.
Oh, no.
I mean, not really. Crosshair's been lost for a while.
True.
So
That's true. They're all lost, unfortunately.
No.
Without Omega. Okay, so for these 2 episodes, yeah, like everything we've been saying, the cinematography, the performances, and the way that they've just raised the stakes for these characters in this story, are just absolutely incredible. Seeing the results of loss in the wake of decisions made not just by the Empire but by the good guys as well is a theme that we've been seeing from Star Wars more and more. And as much as it ripped my heart out, seeing Tech making that sacrifice was gripping. Seeing Omega's reaction and then her realization that it actually happened broke me in half twice. And the music from Kevin Kiner was outstanding to just elevate these already elevated moments with such sadness and such darkness at times. And I love like the bwom sort of sounds that he puts into some of this, and it's absolutely incredible. Well, I do wish we got a little more Crosshair in these two episodes. I was kind of upset that we didn't get any of him. I get that they're setting it up. And, you know, this is a really great setup for the next season. And it's really intriguing, I think. And yes, it's satisfying to get some things right every now and then when we're predicting Star Wars. So I can't wait to see how things end up in what could be the final season of this show with a season 3. I don't know how much further they could go, but it's funny that this sort of little spin-off thing that we're like, let's get a season 3, a season 4, let's get a movie, let's do it. I'm going to give these 2 episodes a solid 4 out of 5 Found Sisters. For the season, like you said, Darcy, such an improvement over season 1. I get that they were getting their bearings in the first season, like that very much makes sense. And looking back, I'm like, I think I might have been a bit too harsh on them during that first season,
Yes.
maybe a little bit. But seeing, I think they were trying to see what fans enjoyed and what they didn't. And I will say for this season, I don't think, yes, there were a lot of episodes that we might have considered side mission episodes. But I think all but maybe for me, 2 of them were absolutely fantastic, with moments showcasing the Bad Batch growing in different ways. And, Hunter and Wrecker, I don't think were as focused on this season as they were in season 1. But, I think even still, Wrecker stayed true to himself no matter where he was in this season, which is really admirable. It's a great trait to showcase. Hunter grew into someone who could consider a future for his brothers, and especially for Omega. Omega went through so much this season and in these last episodes, and showed some incredible growth, learning from all of her Bad Batch brothers and showcasing those skills, those new skills at different points. Echo showed us that even though you may have to leave your family behind, you have to fight for what you believe is the right thing to do. Tech finally opened up this season. We got so much wonderful moments with Tech, and we got to sort of see him explaining sort of his inner struggle with his emotions and how his emotions are still there. He just can't show them the same way. And Crosshair, come on. Are you kidding me? Crosshair had not only the best episodes in this season, the best episodes in this series, and for me, some of the best animated Star Wars I've ever seen. And just like, there's moments in this that are unbelievable, from the visuals and the music together, which were absolutely nuts, which are moments that will stay with me forever. And I already mentioned them in previous episodes, but Crosshair seeing the shadow of the snow vulture combined with that booming sound from Kiner's composition, or the silence in this final episode of when Tech falls and everything just goes quiet, or the slow panning shot of Lula just sitting where Omega would sit in the Marauder. These are moments that will live forever in my mind. This is absolutely must-watch Star Wars. Brad Rao, Jennifer Corbett, Dave Filoni are giving us a set of characters where we can live through their perspective of the outcomes of the greater Star Wars story. And, I love it. It's so exciting to see it. It's fun to see this family working together in these episodes. This season stepped it up in so many ways, and I am very happy to give it a solid 5 out of 5. Lost Brothers. Are you guys hearing this like weird static noise? I'm hearing the static noise on the recording. Are you guys hearing the static noise right now? Hold on, it's getting louder.
Hello?
Hold on.
Hello? If you're hearing this, my name is Omega. I'm trapped here by the Empire, and I'm in a dark room full of tubes. If you can get this message to my family, tell them I'm all right, and that I love them. Their names are Hunter, Wrecker, Echo, and Tick. Omega, what are you doing?
Omega, we read you. Omega, come in. Dank Ferric. She's gone. I can't believe yet again Omega was able to reach our comms. That was crazy.
From light years
From
away.
light years away. From potentially
And the past.
and the past. It's crazy. I really do hope her and Crosshair are okay. Hopefully someone will be able to save her. But until then, that is it for this Watch Club for Star Wars The Bad Batch Season 2. We hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, make sure to subscribe to us wherever you like to listen to podcasts, if you haven't already. And if you want to write into the show with your thoughts or your predictions on the shows we cover in Watch Club, well, you don't have to escape a boardroom bombing only to lose your brother, get betrayed by your aunt, and discover you have a big sister who's actually a clone of yourself. Instead, Megan, can you let the big, beautiful batches know where they can reach us by holomessage?
They can reach us at wearegeekcentric@gmail.com. That's wearegeekcentric@gmail.com. Or if you're from New Zealand and also a clone, you can find us on Twitter at GeekcentricYT or on Instagram at wearegeekcentric.
Well, Megan, you sound an awful lot like Omega. Has anybody ever told you that sometimes?
No, I'm Omegan.
Keep in mind, we also have a ton of other great episodes covering the latest in movies and shows and games, including our recent spoiler-free reviews for Kill Buck Soon on Netflix, as well as the Apple TV Plus original series Ted Lasso Season 3, episodes 1 to 4, which if you want like a therapy session for that, please stop by. It's a really wonderful episode. We also have a spoiler-free review out now for the Apple original film Tetris, and we also have our spoiler-free review out now for Dungeons and Dragons. We also have interviews out now, like our interview with Mandalorian Season 3 director and producer Rick Famuyiwa and Bo-Katan Kryze herself, Katie Sackhoff. I also had the chance to interview the Bad Batch themselves, D. Bradley Baker, which is available. All those interviews are available on our YouTube at youtube.com/geekcentric. You can also check out our TikToks. We got some great TikToks going on that Justin is putting together over at We Are Geekcentric on TikTok. So subscribe, click all the bells, click all the things. We got some great stuff coming at you. And with Star Wars Celebration right around the corner, I am so freaking pumped for the future of Star Wars and us talking about it on the Geekcentric podcast. Justin, Darcy, Megan, thank you so much for joining me for this Watch Club. And as we say once again, for the final time until Season 3,
Good soldiers follow orders.